need to share just a little bit of personal information with you. I'm a big rancher. That's right. I've got a herd of Acinia fotida filling up my garage. Well, they don't take up that much space, really. Acinia fotida is the red wiggler earthworm. This is probably Earth's hardest working creature. If you have these in your garden, you want them to be working for you. Now, I've actually gotten calls and emails from people who said, you know, you've got to help me here. My garden is just full of earthworms. How do I get rid of them? You don't want to get rid of them. You want more and more and more. And the best way to encourage them is to stop your habit of using chemical pesticides. When you spray this on one of those bugs that you don't want in your garden, what's happening is it's misting down onto the soil and it's killing the beneficial insects and the beneficial organisms like earthworms. How do you get them? Well, I get a lot of calls and emails from people who say, you know, every morning I've got a cup or more of coffee grounds and I hate throwing it in the garbage. What should I do with it? Well, instead, sprinkle it in your garden and then just work it in as you're tilling the soil. That'll provide food for the earthworms, and as they digest it, that will in turn provide food for soil organisms like bacteria. Now, when you feed your plants, forget about all the chemical fertilizers and things that are unnatural colors. What we want to do is use good organic meals and fertilizers. You can buy them commercially, or we'll give you plenty of recipes that you can make up in your kitchen. They're inexpensive, and they will feed the soil and make your plants as healthy as any on the block. Now, the whole idea, again, healthy soil feeds healthy plants and doesn't harm the environment at all. Well, it's feeding time at the old Worm Ranch. We have a lovely salad here of kitchen debris. The whole goal is to get as many earthworms into your soil as you possibly can. Some of them will come naturally, but inside your house you could be growing more that will ultimately go out into your soil. They'll also give you worm castings to put in your soil, and the added benefit is they're going to help you to recycle as well. To make a worm bin, we can go as inexpensive as we possibly can. For one thing, I love going to sushi bars. And I realized that as I was leaving sushi bars, a lot of times I'd notice out back there was a trash pile. And oftentimes in that trash pile there would be these beautiful little polystyrene boxes. The fish comes in it, helps it to keep it cold. You'll also find that that's true outside veterinary clinics. Medicines come in these same kind of boxes. So ask the sushi chef very politely after paying your bill if perhaps you can have one of these, and 9 times out of 10 they're going to say, sure, why not? We were just going to throw them away anyway. This will become your worm ranch. Works perfectly, partly because it is insulating. It'll keep the temperature perfect for earthworms. You want it to be about room temperature. Next, get the Sunday paper and start stripping it. This is what we call worm bedding. Earthworms will work their way through here. They will start to rip up and reconstitute this newspaper into worm castings. Make it nice and fluffy in there. And then if you have a source for horse manure, slightly aged is perfect, fresh is not bad. There might be a slight odor if you're going to have it in your house. Some aged manure would be a little bit better. Throw that in there. Now, I live in a place that doesn't get a lot of rainfall, so the first rain of every fall is a big event. One year we hadn't had rain in a long time, and my daughter and I got excited, and we grabbed a couple of spatulas out of the kitchen and walked outside in the rain and started picking up earthworms. The reason we could pick them up in the rain is that during rain, earthworms migrate. It makes it much easier for them to get from where they've been living to a new breeding ground in the wet ground. You'll notice after the sun comes out the next day, some of them, the stragglers, get fried on the sidewalk. But we picked up, probably 300 earthworms on the ground, and we only picked up the red ones. They're smaller and they're dark maroon. Those are red wigglers, and those are the best decomposers. Throw those in on top of your horse manure and newspaper. Add a little bit of garden soil. The reason for that is there's sand in there, and that serves as grit. Earthworms, like chickens, don't have teeth, so they need to grind their food, and they use the grit that they'll pick up in the soil to do that. And after your earthworms have started to flourish, and you'll look in there and you'll see little tiny greenish gold BBs. those are earthworm eggs. And from each one of those egg casings, 10 to 20 baby earthworms will emerge. They will continue to work through there. As time goes by, you can take your garden waste, big waste like this, you may want to chop it up smaller, but throw it in there and the earthworms will devour it all. This pineapple top would be perfect. Just make it into smaller chunks. They have little mouths. The ultimate goal is this right here. This is black gold. Earthworm castings. This is earthworm manure, for lack of a better term. And after a while, after the earthworms have multiplied and lived in here and depleted the food that you fed them, they will break it all down into this. Now, occasionally you'll want to open up your earthworm farm and mist it real well. Because remember, earthworms live below the soil and they live in damp environments. So make sure the moisture level in your earthworm farm is about like a wrung out sponge. Now, you also probably want to keep it covered just because it's a good thing to do. It's not the prettiest thing to look at. But earthworms are creatures that need air as well, so put some good-sized holes in the top. Now, when you're ready to harvest your earthworms, either to give some to a friend or to take the castings and put them in the garden, dig a good amount of the earthworm farm out and pile it in the middle of a flat surface like this and build it into a little pyramid. The earthworms will move away from light, so they will move away from the top of that pyramid. Every so often, wait a little while, take the top, put it in the jar. Take the top again, put it away or to the side. Continue to do this and the earthworms will continue to work toward the bottom. Once you've gotten all the earthworm bedding away, you should have a neat little pile of earthworms at the bottom of all this. Then you can use your castings in the garden, you can put your earthworms back into a new farm, or you can divide them because they've grown into such great numbers and give some to a friend so that they can start an earthworm farm.